Wellness Wednesday is brought to you by Adventist Health.
Welcome back, everyone. We are in the kitchen. We've got another great Wellness Wednesday recipe for you today. And today I've got Paisley Coble, an 8th grade student at the Central Academy of Arts and Technology. Also there, I have Ellen Harrison, who's a 7th grade teacher at this school. And I also have Carmen Bravo, a dietitian with Bravo Nutrition Consulting. And appreciate you coming on again.
Thank you for having us.
Another great recepe. Cornbread. I mean, who doesn't like cornbread? Paisley, do you like cornbread? Yeah. Okay, I mean, it is I feel like it's a staple in so many households. But we're talking about taking something that a lot of people know and make on a regular basis. They have it with different foods, but you're talking about how you're trying to make it just a little healthier, right? So talk a little bit about that, just kind of substituting a few things.
Yes, first of all, making it from scratch is not hard. My family would always use the mix. It's not hard to make it from scratch. By making it from scratch, you can also customize it. So this the original recipe calls for a cup of sugar. I didn't use sugar. I used a monk fruit erythritol blend. I get a lot of my sugar alternatives from Sprouts. You can do Amazon if you need it. But these are natural sugar alcohols that don't affect insulin levels.
Meaning that you don't have to go really out of your way to find an alternative here. And it makes a big difference.
We'll
talk a little bit about those alternatives, Carmen. I mean, just something like that. I mean, just switching out from, you know, regular sugar that we all have in our cupboard to that alternative makes a big difference, right?
Absolutely, especially because like monk fruit, like it has a low glycemic index. So for people living with diabetes, it won't spike their blood sugars. They're very safe. These like sugar substitutes, that's the whole point, is we want to get something healthier that's not going to spike our blood sugar and not lead to other issues with inflammation.
Ellen, talk a little bit about like the just alternatives in general. I think there's, you know, when you're cooking with food and you do want to maybe, you know, swap one ingredient for another. Do you have any advice on making sure that like you're doing a good alternative instead of doing an alternative that can really throw off the taste, the texture, and just the overall product?
Well, I've had definitely some of those experiences from just trying it. This specifically, this cornbread, I've used different flours that didn't go as well. I feel as though we have a lot of information at our fingertips, being the resources we have like YouTube, like Google, and like people working at some of these stores where you could get the alternatives. I feel like reaching out just for the information, just so that we're not, I could say, wasting ingredients or, oh shoot, I had to make this for the party and I ruined it because I used this alternative.
I think that's so I'm really glad that you said that, because I think that, you know, when you get in the kitchen and the recipe, you know, has, you know, all of these ingredients listed, you don't want to, you're scared to veer off track. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, how you might not have an appropriate substitution, but it's good to play around with that.
And to look up, you know, the difference in almond flour and whole wheat flour.
Or rice flour.
Or rice flour, just to get, like, when is the best time to use rice flour? If I have used almond flour in cornbread, it tastes all right, and it was so crumbly. It was challenging. So to know your audience, who you're making it for, and I do feel the willingness to play around.
Paisley, when you're in the kitchen, and you know, whether it's with your mom or your other people, you know, you're an 8th grade student. You've been seeing how just you can still have fun with food. You can still enjoy healthy meals, but not really pay the price of putting unhealthy ingredients in your body. What is it like for you to learn about that as you know, as a kid, and you see probably a lot of your friends, or you just see out just unhealthy ingredients everywhere? What is it like for you to be a kid and not necessarily sacrifice having good food, but instead having good food that tastes good, but also is good for you?
I think it's really interesting to learn about all of that. And for me, I think the healthy food, like the good tasting healthy food, I think it tastes better than like all the junk.
Because you know that you can actually have good tasty food that's healthy for you. All right, cornbread, everyone. I mean, this is like a staple in everyone's house.
I gotta try this.
We gotta try this, So we will put this on our website, kget.com. I'm gonna grab this slice here. And again, just put this in your recipe book, and you'll have it next time you make cornbread. All right, I'm gonna try this really quick.
It's very moist. I love it.
It's good. And what's nice is it doesn't feel overly dry, how sometimes cornbread can be. So definitely recommend this one. Definitely. All right, we'll be back after this. Again, this recipe on kget.com.